Today, we're looking at Robert Oster's Marine. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Robert Oster's Marine is a turquoise or leaning teal kind of ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples, I put the ink into a different pen per day, I then put it into a Noodler's Nib Creeper to take my notes for this video. Now, before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is a chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, immediately put it in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. What we see is a very light minty green at the bottom. Then we start seeing the green and the nice bright blue across the top. The one on the right is done wrong. I let it dry for 10 minutes before I put it into water. And really, we see no difference between the two of them, which means I pretty much don't expect any kind of real hold on for this ink. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pens. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, this ink does not like to get wet at all after. Don't highlight it. If you're somebody that highlights when you take notes, you might not want to use this ink, but if you don't highlight, then it should be perfectly fine. Water reactivated and lifted almost all of the ink. Now, that's only 30 seconds that water was put down. I do think that it could all come off with just water. Pen Flush did everything and more that the water did. We start to see some of the white of the paper come through. I believe that Pen Flush is the absolute farthest you would have to go to clean this out of your pen. Bleach, as would be expected, takes it entirely off the paper. There should be no reason to use a bleach solution to get this out of the pen. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Robert Oster's Marine has a viscosity of 2.15, making it normal. It's just inside normal, but normal. To find my average dry times, I use the writing samples with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Robert Oster's Marine has an average dry time of 21 seconds. Now that's the very high side of normal, but it is normal. Now let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at Clairefontaine. Wow. Nope, that's just me being super sloppy. Like sloppy Joes. No, this is me just being sloppy. That does not bleed through. This has no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen. It offers great shading in it, in that the R at the top gets lighter, very dark rest of the R and the O. The B gets lighter at the top. Nice and dark. It actually gets a little lighter, and Oster's slightly lighter. The extra fine, same exact tone that we saw with the 1.1. No feather spread, halo sheen, no shading here. I think this color looks great. This is one of my favorite turquoise that he does. I think it's fantastic. 12 seconds to dry. The color is just amazing. The medium, no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 22 seconds to dry. It's the exact same tone that we see with the extra fine. The scrubby for the extra fine and the medium both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. Look at that amazing color in the smear test. And I think you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. This is a totally different tone. Look at totally different color right there. And this is fantastic. Tomoe River. Now this is kind of surprising here because the medium is bleeding into the page, not through the page, but into the page. I think if you were using an even wetter nib, this one might actually penetrate. We'd have to try that out. We'll see. All right. Let's find out. Let's put just a couple swirls here and see what happens towards the end. So the 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen. It's offering no shading. The extra fine is a noticeably lighter tone. It's like 2 or 3 shades lighter. The extra fine is no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shading, 21 seconds to dry. A noticeably darker tone. All 3 of them are fantastic colors. The medium has no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 37 seconds to dry. Now the extra fine and the medium scrubby both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. The smear test, I don't believe you could recover it. And that just didn't come through. So it just looks like the medium went really deep in there. Yeah, looks like the medium went really deep in there. That dried way faster than it did when I was working with it. Rhodia. Me being sloppy, not bleed through. We have no bleed, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo sheen. It does offer spots of shading, spots where it gets a little bit darker. Like the K in quick is a little bit darker. The PS in jumps is a little bit darker. And the E in the is a little bit darker. And that's about it. Not a lot of shading up here. There's just little spots of it, hints of it. But it is a nice lighter tone than we saw with that 1.1. It's a great color. 13 seconds to dry. Very dark tone with the medium. Way darker than everything else. The medium has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade. 20 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect any. We didn't get any. The little we saw in the extra fine, I don't know. It's almost like it was by chance. I don't know that you could replicate it. The smear test says you could likely recover if you smeared this while you were writing. Another one, very different tones for different tone papers. It's really nice stuff. The TWSBI paper has no bleeding, minor ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade. It's a slightly lighter tone than we get with the 1.1, 11 seconds to dry. Way darker tone on the medium. The medium has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade, 19 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. And the smear test, I don't think you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. But the colors on this are so nice. Moleskin. Well, Moleskin does what Moleskin does. It's got tons of bleed spots all over, and in the extra fine, I don't think it would stop you from using the back of the page. On the medium, it did touch the page underneath, so don't use a medium with this ink. On Moleskin, the extra fine, you could probably go ahead and do it if you have to use these notebooks. The extra fine did not ghost. The medium, because of the bleeding, did. The medium up top, it feathers like nobody's business. Look at that. That is amazing. Not good amazing. It didn't spread. It's got no halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine, it's got no spread. It does have light feathering all over, especially in comparison to what that medium did. Just light feathering. It probably wouldn't stop me from taking the note if I had to when I was out, because I would still be able to read it. No halo sheen, no shade, 4 seconds to dry. The scrubby shows us no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. The smear test, you could likely recover this if you smeared while you were writing. And that is all that I have for the writing sample. Instead of finding inks that look like Robert Oster Marine, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I've chosen a nice, it's a brownish, it's supposed to be a black type ink, but I've chosen Colorverse Dark Energy because this particular turquoise or teal is very, very pleasant on the page, and I wanted something that would not draw attention totally away from it. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Robert Oster's Marine? First, Robert Oster is the uncrowned king of turquoise inks. It is amazing how many turquoise he has that all look a bit different. And this one is probably the best one, which makes this a huge accomplishment. This is a gorgeous ink that performs incredibly well. And in the world of these turquoise inks, and this one, which I'm calling like a teal, but in the world of these turquoise inks, Robert Oster's king. And I believe this is right here, the first night of his turquoise. Thanks for watching.